So, the sinister thing about anxiety isn't necessarily the physical symptoms that you experience that convince you there's something terribly wrong with you. It's not really the intrusive thoughts, the what if thinking, the brain fog, the feeling that these thoughts are so strong, so scary. It's not even these feelings of unreality, what we call derealization, depersonalization. The thing about anxiety that's the most sinister is that it's great at convincing you that there's something abnormal with you, that somehow there's something about you that's unique where you aren't going to be able to overcome. And sure, you hear some stories of some people overcoming, but you're different. Your anxiety is a lot worse, or you've been struggling a lot longer, or your symptoms are so bizarre that you can't come out of it. I had the exact same thing. I had the same thought process. And really, what I want to talk about in this video is specifically my story. And my story is kind of interesting because I actually was a pretty carefree individual. I never really struggled with anxiety. Sure, I experienced a little bit, but nothing too insane. And I was studying abroad, and what happened was that I developed anxiety and I eventually became agoraphobic. So I essentially was somebody who was traveling, I was studying abroad, and then all of a sudden I became housebound and I wasn't able to leave my house. And what happened was is that I couldn't even go outside to get a haircut because I was so terrified, or I was so terrified of what happens if something happens to me or if I start feeling even the remotest anxiety. I went from that person to back to traveling the world and living life and really enjoying myself and not really having any anxiety. The reason why I want to talk about this in this video is basically because I don't feel like there's enough success stories. And there's a lot of individuals that try to find stuff on the internet, try to find success stories and don't find anything and think, well, maybe there's something unique. Maybe there is no way of getting out of this. Maybe this is how life is forever. So I'm going to talk to you about essentially me, who was essentially agoraphobic to traveling the world. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Shaan. I struggled with anxiety, panic attacks, derealization, depersonalization, managed to come out of it, and now I have a program where I help several people come out of this fully and going back to living. So pay attention. So I want to talk about this concept. This concept is called anti-fragile, and it's written by an individual named Nassim Talib. I think that's his name. He has a book called Anti-Fragile, and he brings up a really interesting point that I thought really resonates with people who struggle with anxiety. And so we all know what fragile is, right? Like imagine I have this cup of coffee right now. Imagine this was made out of porcelain and I drop it and essentially it breaks. Now, I could have a steel cup, and if I drop the steel cup, it's more resilient where you'll drop it but it won't break. But then there's another concept. The concept is called anti-fragile, which in fact means that when you drop it, it actually becomes stronger. And essentially the notion is that systems that end up getting pressure or end up getting pushed to a certain degree actually get stronger. Now there's plenty of examples like that in real life, right? There's muscles are a great example. When you work out, your muscle fiber tears and it gets stronger as a result of the stress. Bones are another great example where if your bone breaks, when it heals, it actually gets stronger in order to deal with more resistance. If Vaccines are another great example where you take the vaccine and the body recognizes it, creates antibodies, and essentially gets stronger. And the reason why I bring this up is because I feel anxiety is very similar. Now, this is kind of hard to believe because most of the people you see on the internet or even your own personal experience, you feel like anxiety is taking so much away from you. You used to be a person that used to enjoy things. Maybe you were anxious, but it was never this bad. And you find it difficult, almost impossible to be the person you once were. You almost look at that person with even a little bit more jealousy. So this concept is kind of weird because I'm saying if you can come out of this, what's going to be unique about you is that you're actually going to get out of this even stronger. You're going to get out of this and feel even better. You're going to be more resilient. When other people in life slow down or have to stop, you keep going. And a lot of that happens from struggling with anxiety. I was somebody who couldn't leave the house. Even just watching TV and watching the ocean on the television was enough to give me a panic attack. Going from that person to coming out and doing what I'm doing right now, it's a huge shift. But the thing is that I'm not really unique. All that was is that I had to understand how anxiety worked, and I understood what was going on, and I really focused on how to get out of this, focusing on a solution where I could come out of this fully. Once I actually got out of it, I was actually even a better person. I was even a stronger person than I once was before. So if you're wondering, okay, Shaan, this is great, this makes sense, but how did you get out of it? What exactly did you do? And so for that, if you want to know, I want to give you guys specific guidelines, the specific steps that you guys can practice immediately so that you guys can start feeling better. And so for what I've done is that I've put a link down below. And really what I've done is I've shown you step by step. I could say this in the video, but the thing is that I find people learn better when they read it through, when they really understand exactly what's going on. And this isn't something that you can be taught. This is something that you kind of have to be shown. So I put it down below. The link is free. You can download it, read it, see, you apply it immediately today. So hopefully this brought you guys some insight. Hopefully this brought you some knowledge. If you like the channel, definitely hit subscribe. And if you want to know more about exactly how do people come out of it, anxiety is a pretty lonely place. You feel like what you're experiencing is very unique, really rare. If you want to be with individuals that are also really focused on overcoming, definitely hit the link down below. That's the link to my private Facebook group. I'm essentially helping people, getting them from where they are to full recovery. In that Facebook group, I'm putting exclusive content that I'm not posting on any other social media platform. I'm not posting it anywhere else. It's only in this group. And so when you hit join the group, it's going to ask you 3 questions. It's very important that you guys answer these 3 questions to the best of your ability. We want as many people in the group as possible, but we're trying to maintain the integrity. If you've been someone who has had anxiety and joined these forums, you understand that sometimes these forums can be quite toxic. It can be quite dangerous actually for individuals, because although it's a great place to share information, it's a great place to share misinformation too. So we're really trying to preserve the integrity of this Facebook group. So we're going to be screening pretty hard. So definitely answer those 3 questions, hit send, and I'll see you guys inside of the group. Thanks.